Alright, let's do this. So, tomb, what are we thinking here? We need some doors. One thing that we immediately need. So we're going to look at structures. Find us some doors. Buildings. Okay, that's complete buildings. Building roof kits. Encampment. What does encampment give us? Fires, gear, tents, watchtowers. Fences, market, ruin sets. Kind of odd. Buildings, accessories, water wheel. Yeah, it's all castle pieces. Okay, maybe it was in objects then. We're gonna try objects. We're gonna try structures. And go to doors. There we go. Save, zoom in a little bit, and figure out what doors best fit this place. I'm thinking something stone. Something stone would make a lot of sense. So let's see what we have for stone. Ooh, that's kind of nice. So there's a couple of these doorways that actually have arrows that point, like kind of which direction they open. Kind of nice. Actually, what is that exactly? Oh, it's supposed to be a trap. It's like, I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's like a crossbow pointing at it. But maybe we won't use those. Delete that. Delete that. Alright. Check out our tops also. Alright, so that's a wooden door, and it has handles, which we're not really trying to do. And we can keep it there, just in case, though. I like that door more than that door. That door can go bye-bye. What about that one? Yeah, worse. That's a nice, simple door. Okay, these ones show which direction they open up, which is of note, but I don't think it's going to matter too much for this. I don't need cellar doors. Don't think we need broken doors either. Actually, a broken door could be helpful for this. See if we can find a nice one. I think we'll find better stuff off of like a broken rebel thing. Because I think we're going to need to put stone doors inside of this place, because it seems like it would make a lot more sense. The awnings, bridges, buildings. What do we got in buildings? The buildings is actually just straight buildings, so I guess we're not going to use that. Columns? Columns could be maybe good addition to this. Give it a little bit of flavor on this. So once again, we're going to get to our artboarding phase, which kind of sucks. I wanted to get the door specifically set up, but I don't think that that's going to necessarily work until we go through more of this stuff. So let's look at some of these altars. That's a possibility. We don't want a jungle altar. We don't want an altar of light. That's maybe. You'll notice that I say maybe a lot, and it's just... because quite frankly, that's what it is. You know, none of this stuff really seems appealing to me. Like, it's... sometimes you'll just see a set piece, and it'll just be like, I want to use that, like, immediately, and I need to find a way to get it in there. Not always the case. Resize. Whoa. Things got a little bit bigger than I expected. Take off snap to grid on both of them. The reason why I don't like wooden doors for this type of encounter is because if you think about like a tomb that's supposed to be underground, it's probably going to have a lot of moisture in there, and wood doors wouldn't really hold up to that well, unless you really maintain them. If this is meant to be put as a burial chamber, yeah, they might visit it every once in a while, but more often than not, it's going to be in disuse most of the time. So I feel like wooden doors are kind of out of place there, while stone ones will hold up to quite a lot more. Now we're looking at some altars, seeing if there's anything we like. We got some sacrificial altars, which could be useful. I kind of like this one though, because it almost has a certain degree of reverence, I suppose. Whatever it is, because we got to think that I actually don't like this. They're not trying to desecrate their tomb. They're trying to get information from it, so something a little bit more dignified might be in order here. At least they don't see themselves as evil. Everybody's the hero of their own story. See what else we got here. We got some archways. What do we like? Do we like any of these? Looks kind of nice. Oh, we got mine supports, which is something that's kind of interesting. I might use those. Got ruin arcs. Okay, that's got plants on it. Can't use that. Can use that. Can't use that. Okay. So we got a couple archways if we want them. So you gonna start streaming here, Gamer Jim, or just kind of checking up, seeing what's happening? Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of information on FF7. And quite frankly, it turns out that I don't remember it as well as I did. I used to very much know that game inside and out completely, except for the Great Glacier. I needed guides on the maps for that, because it was really complicated how to get all the items in it. But I just forgot things. That's all it really comes down to. If you didn't catch it inside of Mountain Nibble, near where the monster was, the boss. By the way, he teaches you Trine if you didn't pick it up, but it's okay if you didn't. But if you go to the top of the ladders there are these chutes, and going down different chutes actually dumps you off at treasure chests. Like when it comes to enemy skill, like enemy skill is one of the most broken materia there is, if you put the time into finding the right things for it. Things like Healing Wind is super good. Mantra Magic, which you did pick up, that one's really awesome also. Flamethrower can be pretty good for single target. Big Guard is just broken. Because if I remember correctly, Big Guard gives you shield, or it gives you shell and barrier, which protects you from magic and physical attacks. And you get that way earlier than you get the materia. You can get it immediately after you exit Gold Saucer, and you don't get the barrier materia until you get to Rocket Town. And in order to get Shell, which is the magic defense one, you need to level it up. So you basically get shield, and protect for your entire team from one enemy skill way earlier than you would normally. It costs you more mana, to use it, but it's so good. So good. There was one other one that was really, really strong too, but I don't recall where you get it from exactly, and I don't recall what it did. But Big Guard's a very, very, very powerful effect. I mean, that's the one complaint that I would say about FF7 is FF7 in a nutshell is having all materia on a person with barrier. You cast barrier and shell, and then one other person has another materia that's linked to cure, casts regen all. So it's like you barrier your whole team up, then you regen your whole team up, and then you fight. And it's very difficult for them to be able to defeat you if you have those two setups on you at all times. In fact, it's impossible for them to beat you if you exploit the game, but that's a different thing altogether. Basically, if you had regen on, and you were playing on PlayStation, you could actually open up the disc cover, and the regen would continue to heal your health, but the enemy couldn't take actions, and it couldn't analyze how long your regen had left on it before it fell off. So you'd basically just sit there and regen all your health up. Cheap tactic, never used it, mostly because it was useless, like you didn't need it. It could destroy every other encounter. Hopefully you were able to figure out missing, or lost number rather, without too much issue. Kind of figured he might give you a little bit of trouble since you weren't picking up on the scale enemies. A lot of enemies in that game have a tell when they're going to do something, like the scales in Shinra Mansion. Depending on which side is balanced, they either can take magic damage or physical damage. Yeah. And that's quite a few enemies in the game, so it's kind of... Try to pay attention here and there. Like, if you find that something's not hitting as hard as you think it should, that could very well be a reason. Let's see, what do I like for pillars? I feel like I want them, but maybe I'm just mistaken. Maybe it's just a bad idea. We'll put a couple out just in case we like them. We'll also put some simpler columns, I guess. Do more of the top-down view. Vincent's a very powerful character when you're doing just a casual playthrough or a super hardcore playthrough. The reason I say that is in super casual, his limits do pretty powerful stuff. If you do kind of the middle of the road hardcore, like, he's one of the worst characters, because once you get further in the game, you'll realize that the limit breaks are the big thing that differentiates one character from another. Well, the thing is all of Vincent's limit breaks only hit once. They might hit everybody, but they only hit once. The strongest characters in the game at that point are the characters that can have multi-hit limit breaks. People like Cloud, Tifa, what's his name? Sid. Those characters have multi-hit limit breaks that are very powerful. The reason why he's the most broken character in the game at the highest rate of play is there's basically a glitch with his final weapon death penalty. After you kill a certain amount of monsters, it's like 36,000 something, it starts adding damage past 9999. It won't show up, like it'll still only show the max damage 9999, but it'll actually be doing more. And there are people that have ground that up enough to where they can do like millions of damage. Some people use emulators just to verify it, to make sure that that's actually true, and it is. You can like one-shot mobs with 1,000,000 health, just because of the bug. But you gotta understand that that's like, 36,000 kills. It's a lot of grinding to do. That's why I was kind of pointing out that that's the super hardcore MLG Pro strat, Definitely not useful for speed runs or casual playthroughs. I would hope they didn't change much, honestly. Like, yeah, there's bugs in the game, but it was charming, That's the bug with Vincent isn't something that you're gonna do unless you know about it and want to try it out. You're not gonna casually play the game and run into that bug. So I kind of hope that it stays in. And certain bugs you just can't do on the Steam version because they're related to the disc-based system of the PlayStation 1. Like I mentioned the regen glitch. I mentioned the Soga Frontier glitch. I don't know if you remember that. Basically, Square came out with another game called Soga Frontier. And if you popped out the disc for Final Fantasy and put in the Soga Frontier disc, it would actually continue to play. Because I think they share some of the same textures. And basically, they're at the same places also. So the game can actually reference textures that aren't... they can reference textures on the Soga Frontier disc that are on the Final Fantasy VII disc as well. Well, what does this let you do, you might ask? Well, if you were to run around on the world map, it would load these textures, and it would just kind of look all screwed up. It would look very glitchy. But it allows you to run on the water, which is noteworthy. The thing is if you get into a battle, the game crashes because it's trying to load a battle that it doesn't have data for. Well, that can get fixed very easily if you ride a chocobo. Because if you'll recall, when you ride a chocobo, you don't get into combat. So basically, the glitch that you can do is you can get a chocobo, get on top of it, then you pop out the Final Fantasy VII disc, put in the Soga Frontier disc while it's still running. It'll load up textures. You then cross the ocean, and you basically avoid the flag that removes Eris from your party, and that allows you to basically have Eris pass the first disc. It allows you to also skip most of the game if you were trying to do a speed run using the exploit. Or most of the first... I should say most of the first disc it lets you skip, not most of the game. I just found out about that maybe like 8 months ago, and it was super cool. Like, I love seeing little glitches like that that are just so out of left field you would never think of them. But it works, I was a little surprised that you couldn't hear the creaking in the floor at the Shinra Mansion, because that was pretty audible when it was on the PlayStation version and on the first PC version that came out on discs. I'm surprised that it didn't, like, you couldn't hear it before. Or maybe I'm just completely out of my mind. I thought that it was supposed to be when you walked over it would creak. But maybe you actually do need to just look down and then it creaks as a result of that. Yeah. I noticed you accidentally got the piano one. That is like, that's the hardest clue. It's just, the idea is you basically need to know, you have to be familiar with music terms in order to pick up on that. The other hard one is obviously the secret ink, which it seems intuitive because it has an extra spot on that paper. But I imagine that there were probably quite a few people that didn't pick up on that and were just at a complete loss where this fourth number was. Let's see, wells, walls. Ooh, interesting. Every once in a while, I find something a little new. Like, I guess these are templates in order to make your own dungeons if you wanted to. Kind of cool. See? I think that's a tomb wall collapsed out. Yeah, so it looks like they got like modular dungeon tiles. It's pretty cool. Actually like that. Alright, let's get some of these statues out. So I like the idea of statues. Don't really need stairs. Don't need satellite dishes. Don't need pyramids, privies, portcullis. Portals. Portals, maybe. We'll take a look at what we got here. You said that you were going to be starting up your Pathfinder group again, Gamer Jim. How's that coming along? I don't remember, were you DMing that one, or... Just kind of curious. Cool. What race? It better be a dwarf, a half orc, or a human. And if it's a human, it better be because you're optimizing. Why would you pick a human? You play a human all of your life. It's supposed to... That's actually one of my friends that mentioned that to me. Like, that was his reasoning why he doesn't play humans in RPGs. It's just funny to me. Like, I understand the concept. You know, it's kind of true, but... It's also kind of silly, I think. Gears, paddle wheels, obstacles. What type of obstacles do we have? Blade barriers, fences, rollers. How's this for a death trap for you? You like this trap? Wait, it's not... There we go. It needs to show that it's killed people already. Really? You guys are playing... Oh yeah, you guys are playing Pathfinder. Gosh, I've just completely skipped my mind. Like, I was thinking 4th for some reason. It's It's definitely not as bad as 3rd edition, I'll put it that way. But there's some math crunching, not gonna lie. Actually interested in what type of traps they have here. They have spinning blades, rock trap. Here's another trap for you. It's a perfect fit in a fantasy game. Ridiculous. Let's see if there's any fences that we like. Probably not. Very, yeah. It's not much in the way of the obstacles. Okay, so we have some portals, we have some magical things, we have an altar or two, we have a few doors, some interest through here. I think now what we need is some actual coffins and coffins for this crypt. Some statue work would be pretty good as well. Let's see if we can find something. Graveyard? No. Statues, stairs. Let's see, burial. Okay, we can have stone coffins as an option. Everything in here is pretty much got to be stone, because as I mentioned before, these things don't get... They get visited, but they don't really get a lot of upkeep. So that's an option, that's an option, and I think it's the exact same almost. Pretty close, so I'm actually going to get rid of that one. Okay, I like the idea of open crypts, but that is Egyptian, so we can't use it. It's not going to fit with what we're trying to do here. That another one? Yep. That's a little better. Trying to figure out what it is exactly. Yeah, maybe it's usable. Where did I get all those items from? Well, for map tools, when you first download it and you go through the tutorials, it mentions there's 2 packages of items that you'll probably want to use. So it like kind of tells you how to get those packages, and those are the ones that I have. I actually took a couple of the things out of it because I didn't think I'd use them. Like I think I took vehicles out because I didn't think I'd use a lot of vehicles, and there are carriages in some of the other packets. That looks more like marble. We don't want that. That looks super awesome, and I kind of want to use it. But I think that might be a bit much for this. Ugh. Looks really cool. Yeah, I actually should make this one a little bit cleaner as well. Because I feel like there are things inside of here that I'm just never going to use. So I should, you know, sort them out, get rid of those, consolidate it a little bit better. Just haven't gotten around to it. Time is kind of short. And ever since I started streaming, it's become much, much shorter. But, you know, I'm glad that I did, though. It's good to have this type of an experience, I think. Let's see what these graves mean. Okay, it looks like they're just tombstones. Yeah, a little too British. Yeah, okay, so a lot of those are on their sides. Well, these things are a little bit like Babylonian. I think we can make them fit thematically with it. Because it's very much just kind of an ancient civilization type of look. I think we can make that fly. I kind of don't want to use these though, because I recycled them from another adventure. They'll probably stay away from them. Let's switch to something else on the yeah, I'll switch to something I want to listen to, I guess. I'm glad that there's kind of some beat up tombs here as well, because that'll kind of give a showing that, you know, these things have been looted or that they're no longer interred with corpses. Alright, I feel like we have enough here though. Okay. Guess I'll look real quick at tombs because there's not a lot of these. That's a possibility. Mummy, don't need it. Tomb entrance, don't need it. Although maybe we want to combine those two. That might be pretty cool. Okay, that's good. Alright. So it looks like we have a good amount of things that we can check out and maybe make work for this. So let's go ahead and save. See what we can do now. Now comes the fun part. So we're going to take this stone slab door, shrink it down just a little bit. Okay, we're going to get rid of this huge brick block. We're going to Control-C that one. Control-V it over here. That way we have the largest doors kind of blocking off the entrance here, or the entrances to this tomb, which makes sense. Like, if you're trying to stop people from going into this place and raiding it, you're probably going to want your thickest doors there. Now that we've done that, we can kind of add some other smaller doors around this tomb as we need them. I do need another rubble thing, which is one thing that I forgot to check, so I'm going to have to find that right now, actually. So we're looking for rubble, or ruins. Oh yeah, we could have used some statues as well, but we'll do that later. Oh, where are you at, rubble? Ruins, maybe? Rubble, there we go. So hopefully we can find a collection of them rather than these little bits and pieces. Something tells me that's not going to happen though, and it didn't. Shoot. Alright, let's cut off structures here. Well, there are two things that you can do in that case. You can have multiple adventures ready, which I do. Or you can pull them aside and you can ask them, do you want to play the game or not? Depending on the group, that's really what it comes down to. Like this type of thing, what we're doing with Arbadet is very kind of linear. Like you might ask them at the beginning, you'd be like, hey, I got a few different types of quests, you know, what do you guys want to play? If you're playing very open-ended, then you kind of have to plan for those types of things. Arbadet is it's a lot more linear than Phaneros, my Pathfinder game. I mean, you know, that's just been something that's been in D&D. To some extent, Gamer Gem, that's true, but also, like, if you're a DM and you're trying to plan out dungeons, you know, you could have it's good to have a couple options that the players can do. But if your party goes, hey, we want you to make dungeons that we can go around on like this, and they just go, oh, we don't want to go there, then it's just like, so basically you asked me to waste, you know, 2+ hours of my time making a dungeon for you guys to just refuse to go there. I mean, at that point, your players are being completely insensitive to the time that you're spending on this. Because let's face it, I mean, here, let me go full screen for this. Players, you're lazy as shit. You fucking spend 1 hour maybe between sessions planning things out and getting things set up for your character. The DM does all this shit. The DM spends at least 4 times as much time as you do on your character planning adventures and creating them. More often than not, it's way more than that. And that's not to say that you're terrible people for being players, but you gotta cut us some slack, you know. Unless you're paying us salary money for this, we can't make this a complete job. That's kind of my rant for that. You know, it's nice to have a couple options. You should have that just in case the party really doesn't want to do something. But at the same point, it's like, hey, do you guys want to go ahead and raid the, it's a terrible way to say it. You want to raid the crypt of the King of Argonia or whatever? And they go, yeah. And you go, okay, let's go ahead and raid it. And then they go, you know, we don't really feel like doing that now. Okay, I guess everybody goes home until the next session. See you guys in a week. Yeah, but then the problem is if you try to use your dice and imagination for everything, you come up with massive inconsistencies. Sometimes things aren't tuned correctly. Sometimes you forget where things are. If you're not playing on an actual map, this is especially apparent. I've done it too. I've shot from the hip before, and I just find that you come up with way worse adventures that way than if you actually plan things out. But it is a possibility to do that. The thing is your players are going to know once you start stumbling over your words, you know, every once in a while. Or the fact that they don't run into anything, or they run into everything at once, that it wasn't pre-planned. But, you know, if you disagree with that, agree to disagree. I just think that this comes out with a better product. And I think this is part of your job as a DM, is to kind of design things ahead of time so that you can keep the game flow really solid and tell a story that you want to tell, you know, not just necessarily a dungeon crawl. Even though Arbidut is really a bunch of dungeon crawls, I'm not going to debate that. But I am telling like minor stories and setting up for other dungeons with this. Like my first adventure, which you can check out on the highlights, I basically set up, in the adventure, I set up an antagonistical authority figure, like it's the asshole cop. I've set up a crime boss, the pup. I've set up a monster leader that's threatening an Offerfell, which is Logra Bim. And I set up kind of like somebody who's vying for some type of political power in the merchant class, which is Duncan's Traders. So we kind of have these threads of adventures that can lead into other things, but we aren't married to these. You know, they're more storylines which develop into the next dungeon, rather than an overarching thing.